Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Information Playground. I'm Ron Bush, your host, coming to you from Ron Bush Consulting Incorporated. Ron Bush Consulting is a cybersecurity company, and you're welcome to look us up at ronbushconsulting.com. Check out my book on Amazon called How to Stay Safe in a Very Dangerous World. Think before you click. I'm excited to introduce our guest to you this morning. But first, let me tell you where we're coming to you from. If you're in Northwest Indiana, and especially in Valparaiso, you're probably listening to us on WVLP. Now, we're broadcast Monday mornings from 8 to 9, Friday afternoons from 1 to 2, every week on WVLP. That's 103.1 on your FM dial. If you'd like to stream us rather than go to the radio, and certainly if you're outside of Valparaiso, it's easier to catch us that way. You can stream us at wvlp.org. I hope you take a look at the website. It's a great community radio station, and they do a lot for the community. It's a great way for you to get involved, to either underwrite my program or underwrite other of the fine programs on that radio station, or get involved in the community. It's an excellent way to do it. You can also find the Information Playground on demand. You can find that on any of the podcast platforms that I'm familiar with: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and 6 or 7 others. You can also find us on YouTube and catch the video version on YouTube as well. If you like the Information Playground, and since those words seem to be popular for podcast titles, it'll take all 3 words, the Information Playground. You'll want to connect that with me, Ron Bush. If you like however you're listening or viewing us, please subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. That said, we've got some special guests with us this morning, and I hope you'll enjoy. We're going to be talking about the U.S. Cyber Challenge. First, let me introduce Luke McCormick. Luke, tell the folks a little bit about yourself. Then I'd like to get with Jared, Rudy, and Rami. Luke?
Well, certainly. Thank you very much, Ron, and I appreciate you having us on. Hello out there in the cyber community. So I really do appreciate it. A little bit about myself. I am a former CIO, Department of Homeland Security, retired out of that role at the end of the Obama administration. Prior to that, I was the CIO, Department of Justice. And prior to that, CIO of Immigration Customs Enforcement, a variety of other roles in the Homeland Security community.
Great. Well, thank you for being with us this morning. Jared?
And if I may, just I'm also currently serving as the National Director of the U.S. Cyber Challenge Program.
Thank you, sir. Jared?
I'm Jared Bates. I'm the CTO of U.S. Cyber Challenge. I teach full-time for a community college in Delaware. Part-time for a couple other colleges. And prior to that, I was a network administrator for state of Delaware. Excellent. And I've been involved in USCC since 2010.
Great. Thank you, sir. Rudy.
Hi, my name is Rudy Pamentuan. Good morning, y'all. I am the Director of Communications for the U.S. Cyber Challenge. I've been here since the inception, been in and out of government prior, and looking forward to sharing more information on the U.S. Cyber Challenge. So thanks for having us, Ron.
Excellent. My pleasure. Thank you very much. And Rami?
Hello, everybody. My name is Rami Salahia. I'm the Program Chair for Cybersecurity at Ivy Tech Valparaiso. Also, I am the Cybersecurity Academy Director in Valparaiso. And I've been with the U.S. Cyber Challenge for many, many years.
Great. Well, it's both a pleasure and an honor to be with all you gentlemen this morning. Thank you for being on the program, and thank you for your service to our country. Thank you. So I think, Luke, I probably start with you, but everybody jump in as is appropriate. Let's describe to our listeners, some are going to be familiar with it, many will not. What is the U.S. Cyber Challenge?
Well, let me start with the mission, and then I'll throw it over to the team to perhaps describe the various pieces of it, because it's very well thought out and very comprehensive. But the mission is simple, right? Is to connect America's best and brightest to the cybersecurity industry. Connect being a very operative word there, right? We're looking for talent that is working their way through their educational journey. Typically, sometimes it's also folks that are looking to transition from one career to the next. We bring them through a series of programs that we'll talk about. And our ultimate goal, of course, is to connect them with various employers in the community that need this talent. It's as many people know, there's a very large gap of talent need across the various communities. Certainly experience this in the U.S. government, certainly experience it in the state and locals, the various private sectors, the various critical infrastructure sectors, et cetera. Any sector out there, name your sector, needs this type of talent. There's just not enough of it out there.
I couldn't agree more. The last figure that I've heard is 512,000 jobs are going unfilled because there just aren't people qualified to fill them. And the need, I mean, just look at December of last year, just 3 months ago, we heard about the probably the biggest data breach of all time, the SolarWinds data breach, affected federal government, Fortune 500. SolarWinds had 18,000 clients, and we still don't know the extent of the damage there. We had the Excellion data breach reported. They had 3,000 clients. They're estimating 300 of them were breached as a result of that. Those are some of your top law firms in the country. Kroger, the largest grocery store chain. I mean, the list just goes on. And of course, the biggest ransomware ransom ever paid, Foxconn, almost $35 million.
Absolutely. I mean, name your breach, right? OPM, Target, Sony, et cetera. There's a dump truck full of them, and they'll continue. And this is an absolute war games, if you will, of activity that is going on, and a lot of it has to do with who's got the best talent out there to address the situation.
Indeed, indeed. So let's get into this. What is CyberQuest? Who's the people that you're looking for, and how does it?
Let me. So I'll play. I'll point around a little bit, because these folks have been, as I had mentioned, been with the program myself for just a little over a year as the national director. Was on as a guest speaker, Karen Evans, the Honorable Karen Evans, who ran the program for many, many years, conceived of it and created it, birthed it, and grew it into what it is today. But let me, let's, Rudy, why don't you explain to the listening audience the journey that one would go on in regards to getting involved in this program, including, of course, CyberQuest being one of the first steps.
Thank you. So we are truly looking for the best and the brightest. And the first step in the journey is CyberQuest. And what that is, it's an online series of quizzes that participants take. And what we do is during that time, they're all nationally ranked. So if they visit cyberquest.org, they'll be able to register and take the quizzes. But at the same time, there's a scoreboard that's kept up in real time. And so the cool thing about that is friends can compete against friends, individuals can compete against other individuals throughout the country. There is a ranking that's occurring at the national, from vantage point. And from there, what we do is once the competition is completed, we invite the best of the best to a series of camps around the country. And we have regional camps that they fill into. And at those regional camps, a lot of great networking opportunities with like-minded individuals, great opportunities to network and meet employers directly, award-winning training. And then at the end, there's a group CTF where they compete against each other. And the best of the best from that group actually forward onto the national championships. So it's an exciting opportunity for individuals to get involved, get in the pipeline, work with some of the best in the industry in terms of talent, employers, and instruction. And it's a great opportunity to meet with each other. And ideally what ends up happening is some of the top talent gets to interface with some of the best employers in the nation. They find employment opportunities and they go on protecting and serving us.
Gosh, that's excellent. And thank you, Rami, for putting the links up there, cyberquest.org and uscyberchallenge.org. So are you looking primarily for students? Are you looking for people that are already in cybersecurity? Are you looking for people that want to get there? Maybe they're in some other aspect. Maybe they're a coder or they're in some other part of IT. Um, who exactly are you looking for, and how do they get involved? I realize that they go to the websites, but is it just a matter of filling out a form, or is there more to it?
It's pretty straightforward and simple. Come join us at cyberquest.org. When they get there, they register, and that's how we begin the process. And we're looking for all kinds of people. I mean, it's through the history of the U.S. Cyber Challenge. We've had college students. A few years ago, we had a corporate attorney from Silicon Valley. She was 57 years old, and she was looking for a career shift, and she was already in the space, but was not in a technical role. So we have all kinds of folks from all kinds of walks of life throughout our country that are jumping on board. So I encourage anyone, whether you think you're good enough or not, if you have an interest, sign up, register, compete, and let's see where you're at. And we look forward to working with you.
And I will say, I'll just add that there has been several different studies and tests that have proven out that there's a variety of skill sets that allow you to get to the point where you can become let's say, a cyber elite individual, if you will. And of course, not everyone is a cyber expert day one, but they have the DNA, if you will, the wiring to become a cyber warrior, as I like to call it. And they come from all walks of life. One of the things that we're really trying to do this year is double down into the veterans community, right? We know there's a lot of folks out there that are coming back from these various activities that they've been involved with for over a decade, encouraging that community as well. And quite frankly, it's great timing to be doing this, Ron, because we are right now in the process with CyberQuest, where we've opened this up a couple of weeks ago, and we'll have it open until the end of the month. So we got about 3 more weeks or so where folks can get onto that website, go through that testing process. If they score high, they will be invited to one of these various camps that Rudy spoke about.
Excellent. Now, let's talk about that. Is that a virtual presence with the pandemic? I'm assuming that's the case, but is it always that way?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Traditionally, over the years, the camps had been sponsored and somewhat anchored, if you will, I'll say anchored, with various colleges around the country, Ivy Tech, Virginia Tech, the state of Delaware's university system, et cetera, et cetera. A variety of schools would sponsor these camps in the summer. The camps are a week long. I'm actually going to have Jared sort of walk you through the specifics of the mechanics of the camps and sort of what one could expect there. But the top line on that is, yes, they were physical camps. Obviously, last year we had to make a game time decision to switch those over to virtual. First time doing that for everyone. It was the first time doing it. Had a great experience, quite frankly. We realized that, wow, we can really pull this off virtually. So we are, in fact, going to do it again this year virtually, simply because obviously we're not completely there out of the woods in regards to the vaccines being fully realized across the country. So we're trying to be super careful about that. And then we'll make a decision the following year as to whether or not we keep it virtual, we do a hybrid, we go back to a physical camp, et cetera. There's pluses and minuses to any one of those 3 scenarios, as you can imagine.
I can well imagine that's the same conversation all of business is having as we're trying to decide whether to go back the way we used to be or do a hybrid or keep it the way it is. Jared, tell us a little bit about these camps.
So the camps, you have 4 days of SANS training, and it's a different topic each day. Topics in the past have ranged from Windows 10 post-exploitation to network forensics to web app pen testing, memory forensics, packet crafting with Scapy, multiple topics taught by SANS instructors. Wednesday, there's normally a career fair where they get to meet and interact with the sponsors and companies that are involved in the career fair. There's a resume building workshop prior to that one of our alumni it runs for us. And then on Friday is a 4-hour CTF, capture the flag competition, where competitors can form 4-member teams and compete for scholarship money. And then also, obviously, the winning of the CTF is a big thing. And then if, like Luke said, if they win that, then they'll move on to the national, what we're calling Cyber Bowl, where they'll compete against other winners of the different regions.
Great. So the cyber camp's the beginning of it. And
CyberQuest, yes, would be.
I'm sorry, cyber
Yep.
is the beginning of it. And then the winners of that, and how many are we talking? How many participants did you have last year, and what are you expecting, and how many winners come out of the CyberQuest?
So Rudy would have better numbers for like how many have competed in CyberQuests with the initial quiz to get invited to the summer camps, the USCC summer camps. And then depending on how many cyber camps we run, the winning 4-member teams would then get invited to the National Cyber Bowl. So last year we ran 3 camps. So we had 12 participants in the Cyber Bowl. This year we're running 2 regional camps.
Yeah, so let me say a couple things that probably worth noting. One, just the flow again, and we'll probably repeat this 2 or 3 times because you have to kind of get it in your mind there. You're entering into the program through the CyberQuest, right? And you're taking a test, various subjects each year. This year it's SCADA systems and ISC systems, right? I think that's what
ICS, Industrial
ICS.
Control Systems, SCADA.
So there's different themes. Last year it was, it happened to be election security, right? So various themes that we would use for the CyberQuest. They'll go through the CyberQuest program, test themselves out. Whoever scores highest will then get invited to the camps. The camps, traditionally, we would have 3 camps a year, again, physical camps, and they would range from anywhere to 30 to maybe up to 50. That might be the top side. And let's go to they're physical camps. So there's a boundary there typically of camp size. Run through the camp for a week. At the end of that, you would have a capture the flag competition on the last day, and then somebody would be crowned, the winners of that capture the flag activity at the end, which the students love to do that, as you can imagine. This last year, obviously, we went to a virtual environment, and in that virtual environment, we decided to keep with 3 camps. We had about 40 plus in there. We didn't want to get too much in those camps simply because it was the first time we were doing virtual. We weren't sure how that was going to go, and we wanted to kind of do a soft launch there, if you will. But I think we realized that, boy, even though we had 40 in there, probably could have had a handful more. So this year we decided to do 2 camps, sort of an East Coast and a West Coast, if you will. And we'll probably have about 80 in each camp. 75 to 80 is what we're thinking. Several hundred, upwards over 1,000 folks that typically will get involved with the CyberQuest part of it, the entry part. And then through that, we'll call out the best of the best based on the scoring. And then they'll move over into the cyber camps and participate in the camps. This
has been a great secret, I think, from a good deal of the American community. How did you guys get started? How did this, because it seems very sophisticated, very well put together, very well orchestrated. How'd you get started? How long have you been doing this?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it is a great secret, and there's some real golden nuggets in there that I'll point out in a moment. But I absolutely want to make sure that both Rudy and Jared, who have been involved from day one, describe sort of the genesis of the program and how it's evolved. And we certainly want to hear from Romney too, because Romney is instrumental in this and really keeps us in check in regards to the program has come up with some fantastic ideas. Let's start with Rudy to just give us the genesis of how the program was started. How long has it been around? Jared, I'd like you to jump in, and then Romney, kind of tell us where we're at with it.
Thanks. So the U.S. Cyber Challenge started over a dozen years ago. It actually started with a white paper. Karen Evans, after serving the Bush administration, she worked with a think tank in Washington and developed the paper. And back then, no one understood what was going on with respect to cybersecurity. If anything ever happened or made the news, it was always in the last, the last section of the last page, right? So when she developed the white paper, the question was, what is the biggest vulnerability in our country's digital infrastructure? And while everyone was talking about more perimeter security or internal security, she really focused and keyed in on workforce and workforce development. And so when she wrote about that and identified the great need back at the time, based on what we knew and what our country was willing to share, we needed approximately 10,000 men and women to get on the front lines. And we just didn't have a pipeline for that. And so the concept of the US Cyber Challenge kind of was created. And during that time, we knew of Jared doing great things in Delaware and looking at doing camps. And so that's how we all kind of connected together. So maybe Jared, I'll kick it back to you.
Thanks, Rudy. Yeah, I've been involved since 2010, and camps normally average over time we've averaged around 40 participants per camp. A few of the ones that I've hosted have been up 60, 70 students, and again, those are face-to-face. I think we get a lot out of the face-to-face as far as networking with peers, networking with the sponsors, meeting the instructors face-to-face, and networking with them is a great opportunity for students involved in the USCC.
It's been a constant frustration of mine that exactly what Rudy, you alluded to. There seems to be this great need. The press fails to report it, and I think mostly because they don't understand it. Mm-hmm. I use Google alerts to actually pull up information as to what's happening, because I can't pull out my newspaper or get on the television or listen to radio and depend on getting reports. I can tell you all kinds of stuff that's going on in the world because I had to dig for it and I had to read through it. Rami has been just a guiding light, if you will. Rami's the reason this meeting came together today. Rami's the one that, when I talk to people in this industry, and I talk to them and about them and for them all the time, Rami's the gentleman that comes to mind. He is the ultimate guru to me in this area. Rami knows just about everybody. He knows everything about it. And he's been, I think, the guiding light for Ivy Tech. And you gentlemen are with esteemed organizations, but my experience in the leader of this in Indiana, which is where my experience is, has been Rami. And it's been Ivy Tech leading the foray. He's just done an excellent job. So with that buildup, Rami, I kind of built you up there.
Drum roll, please.
Tell us how you got involved, if you would. You're muted, Rami.
I'm sorry. I was also looking actually for a long time as an instructor teaching cybersecurity, was always looking for some kind of activity that actually, this has started years ago in 2012, I would say, when I get involved with USCC. And I wanted to take my student to some kind of activity that actually empower them and excite them. It's not just teaching cybersecurity kind of concept in classroom. So I heard about USCC via Marine Valley, and I met Dr. John Sand back then, Marine Valley. Then I met Karen Evans also there, and this is how we get excited. And this is an amazing opportunity for my student. Not only they could go to a cyber competition, but they get a cyber boot camp. This is an amazing opportunity for them because they get to learn this technical knowledge from the best instructor in our nations, and students also get to compete between each other and have a full day of different activity. We don't also just do cybersecurity competition. We also have if I might say also, look, we also have a CIO panel. We also have an ethics panel where we invite different law enforcement agency. Last year, we invited multiple law enforcement agency like the FBI, the Secret Service, and Department of Justice came in. Also, we have a job fair, virtual job fair. It was amazing for students. So this is really amazing competition. Additionally, also we have a cyber workshop for a resume so a student can build their targeted resume specifically for cybersecurity jobs. I think this is an amazing opportunity for our student in this nation because of the fact it gives them the opportunity not only just to participate, but also to network with other professionals and build a professional network and be able to compete on the nationals and also on the state levels. This is an amazing opportunity. We have a lot of great news to mention to the student. Actually, my student, give you some good story here. One of my students who actually won the Cyber Bowl a couple of years ago in 2016, he currently worked for the Munster Police Department as a forensic analyst and as an intelligence analyst. His name is John Lawrence, and we invited him last year. Also, he was on the CIO panels and ethics panels, I believe. We have also all kind of different type of student, and this is an amazing opportunity because students not only compete but also network, find jobs, and they grow to be a very successful professionals in the cybersecurity world.
Yeah, John, actually, I'll be recording with John later today for another program to follow this. Rami's on the show on a not a regular basis, not as regular as I'd like, but regular listeners will be familiar with Rami, and they'll also be familiar with John. He's pretty much monthly, a monthly guest for me. I go back to 2014 with Future Crimes by Mark Goodman, where he talked about the need for this. That's 7 years ago now. And I've been talking about this for almost that long of a period of time. The need for people, the need for interest, the need to report it, the need to respond. Americans have pretty much been losing a war that they had no idea they were in because we just didn't know it. And here, I mean, it's estimated by one author, we were hit 230 million times last year, only 16% of which were reported.
Right. I mean, that was one of the things I was going to point out, and those are the ones that we know, or those are the ones that are reported, right? That's the dirty little secret in this industry. If I could rewind for just a moment and reference on Romney, he obviously is an icon in that community up there as we were working with the local folks, the FBI, the Secret Service, et cetera, had all referenced the community nature of what's happening up there in that area in regards to just the whole cyber talent pursuit, which I thought was really special. And that's one of the things I talked about, these golden nuggets. You know, this program, over a decade old, many of the folks, two of them on this call right here, been involved in the program since day one. And what I think is really neat and special is one of the things that we've been doing while they were physical camps and certainly as virtual camps is, you know, the instructors, as you can imagine, there's some hardcore stuff that they're teaching there, right? Top of the community in regards to material that they're delivering there. And I would sit in on those classes, and it's just amazing to watch how effective they could be, even virtually. But a big part of what makes that work is the teacher assistants. And what they do is we take folks that were involved in the program from the prior year, in some cases, you know, 2 and 3 years ago, and ask them to come back in and volunteer their time for the entire week, quite frankly, to be TAs in regards to delivering of the program and make sure it stays top shelf. And we always get a long list of folks that will volunteer their time to do that, which I think is really special. We've got folks, including, again, some on this call here, that have been involved. The prior CTO, Doug Logan, who was involved with the program day one, was in the first class, became a TA, built his own company up called US Cyber Ninjas, that's down in Florida, and has been hiring folks out of this program over the years. So there's a real special community here that continues to grow and evolve as we look to potentially scale the program in a variety of ways. We're at a delicate balance, right? Because we want to keep it high quality, but then the question is, how can you scale it? And perhaps through some of this virtual activity that we're, I'll say, experimenting with, we think that that's an opportunity to scale and reach out to a community that a lot of times we just didn't have access to, or they didn't have access to a program like this.
Excellent, excellent. Listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I'm going to ask each one of you to tell people how they can reach you if they have questions. And then I want to get into more of who exactly you're looking for. How do people really get involved? And we've talked about just go to the website, but let's get a little bit more specific than that. And let's tell people what they can expect when they get there, what they can expect afterwards, what they can expect to do. How will this benefit them? We're going to get a little into the features and benefits, but first I've got to do some station identification and some housekeeping. So you are listening to the Information Playground. We're broadcast to you on WVLP. It's where we started years ago. WVLP is a local radio station in Valparaiso, Indiana, and they are a great community radio station. I hope you get involved with them. Go to their website, wvlp.org. They do a lot of good work. You can underwrite any of the shows, including this one, but you can also see where they're helping out in the community, and you can be a part of that as well. We're broadcast there on Monday mornings from 8 to 9, from Friday afternoons from 1 to 2. And you can also find us on demand on any of the podcast platforms that I'm familiar with. Spotify, Apple, and Google, all three come to mind, but there are many others. You can also find us on YouTube under the Information Playground. I'm Ron Bush. I own Ron Bush Consulting, and we're a cybersecurity consultancy. You can find me at ronbushconsulting.com. Email me, ron@ronbushconsulting.com. You can see I like to keep things simple. Maybe for my benefit, if not anyone else's. But thank you for being with us this morning. Luke, lead us off. How do people reach you if they have questions?
Sure, they can reach me at my email. It's lmccormack, McCormack, @uscyberchallenge.org. You can shoot me a note directly. Happy to answer any questions that I may be able to answer for you.
Excellent. Rudy?
I'm easy to find. You can reach out to me at rudy@uscyberchallenge.org.
Jared?
Mine's J Bates at uscyberchallenge.org.
And Rami, I see you have in the chat, Arsalea at uscyberchallenge.org. Is that the best way for folks to reach you then?
Correct. Yep.
So let's get into it. I'm a listener to this or a viewer to this, and this is my first exposure to it. What can I expect when I start the process? I go to the website and I start the process. What can I expect from there, through it, and after? What happens after? Do I make connections? Do I get a job? Let's go through all of that.
Well, let me go through a little bit of a top line, and then I'll ask the team here to fill in the details. But one thing I want to say is you can do it, right? Everybody can become a cyber warrior in some form or another. And I think, as I always said to my employees, every employer needs to be a cyber warrior. Everyone has to have a level of cyber talent to just perform their daily duties. Some become elite, others become knowledgeable. And I think all of those are very important. You go on this journey where you're entering into the U.S. Cyber or the Cyberquest competition on your way to measuring your skills to see if then you can become one of the folks that get involved in the U.S. Cyber camps, of which again we'll have 2 this year, probably about 80 apiece. They'll go through those camps, graduate out of those camps. A small number of them will become the winners of the Capture the Flag event that we have during that camp on the last day. And then they'll be invited along with a few other folks, about a dozen folks, pretty much 4 teams of 3 is typically what it's looking like, to compete in the national championship. We call that the U.S. Cyber Bowl. That's sort of centered around Washington, if you will. We associate that to some activities that we do with the private and public sector in Washington, and typically have about a half a day cyber summit where the folks that win the national championship, the Cyber Bowl, if you will, those 4 teams have competed against each other, will then get announced and crowned at that US Cyber Summit that we'll have in October. So enter into the program through CyberQuest, get involved. You get invited to the US Cyber camps. You go through the camps, and we'll talk about sort of what happens at the end of those camps in regards to, regardless if you're a winner on one of those championship teams, there's still a lot of benefits in graduating through the camp, as you can imagine. Romney top line some of that. And then from there, the winners of the Capture the Flag events that are in those camps will then make their way up to the national championship to compete in the Cyber Bowl. I'll talk a little bit more about the Cyber Bowl at a different moment, but let me ask Rudy to just talk about what can one expect now that I've graduated out of the camp. What can one expect once they're in that state?
Well, the great thing about the US Cyber Challenge is the brand in itself is something that's recognized with folks throughout the industry. So what I encourage young folks and older folks to do if you go through the process is definitely put that you were involved. It's kind of a badge of honor to have gone to the camps. It's a badge of greater honor to have been on a winning team. And what we find, our employers reach out to us. A lot of them are our sponsors, but a lot of folks are actually individuals that have actually gone through our process. Luke had mentioned our previous CTO who had started his own business and actually started recruiting competitors that have been through the process. I mean, we have many individuals that have been through our process that are currently owning their own businesses, or they're at senior levels at various firms or institutions around the country. So post-process, there's a lot of ample opportunity to intermix and network with other employers, other folks within the community that have gone through the process. But as you know, Ron, this is it's a very tight-knit industry and everyone knows everyone. And so while it's still small, the US Cyber Challenge has kind of been a flagged away for many folks where people are able to show where they came from and where they continue to contribute. So, people continue to go through our process. And once they graduate our process, they come back as TAs, they come back as instructors, they start their businesses, they employ many of the folks that go through our process or they're in senior level. So it's an exciting group. It's a great big family and we're growing and we're looking to welcome new people every day.
Excellent.
I talked about those nuggets, and I think that's one of them is the lineage of this program, right? Over 10 years old. Not many programs that you can describe like that. So these folks have now graduated out of the program. They're off into the community, working in a variety of roles. They've become either owners of companies or senior positions, holding senior positions in these various companies, and they're now hiring back into this community.
Excellent.
I
Excellent.
agree with that. I remember my student when we competed in 2015. I remember Philip, John, Tony, Mark. Now these students actually went to become a professional cyber field, and a lot of them right now have amazing top-notch certification. One of my students, Tony, he's a former also an Army veteran. Currently, he actually landed his 7 top-notch certification, OSCP, SSCP, and I'm actually trying to get him to teach for me at Ivy Tech Valparaiso, but he's so busy. And this is really amazing news to see my students succeeding. When you come through this boot camp and you go through this CTF and then go to the national, that's going to open up a lot of opportunity for the student. We're very proud of them.
Jared, I'd like Jared to chime in as well, because he's been involved again, day one from the program, seen a lot of these students, some of his students that have now gone on and graduated and out into the community. Why don't you describe, what can one expect? What do typically these individuals, what path do they typically take post the graduation of these programs?
I've had students, college level, even we've had some high school students attend Delaware camps because they were day camps. There was no overnight. So we've had high school students attend also, and it's just jumped their level of knowledge. I had a couple of students prior to starting their associate's degree with me. I was able to advise them that spring prior to the summer camps. They were able to do the quiz, get into the summer camp, and they were easily a semester or two ahead of the other students, in their first semester of college. I mean, it just jumped them exponentially above the other students that were that did not attend the US Cyber Camp. And a lot of the companies, they love seeing CTFs or this type of training that these students get because the company doesn't have to pay for it. I mean, these are thousands of dollars in training.
That's exactly correct. One of my current student, Ivy Tech, his name is Michael Hellman. He just hired by AWS, and the reason he was hired, they looked up his participation last year with the US Cyber Challenge, and he provided that documentation. He was able to sign up for it and register, and that's one of the main motivation they hired him. Out of 100 students in the country, he just hired down to Chicago. He lives in Valparaiso.
Great.
Shows that you're passionate about it and you're in the field and you're doing things that are outside the norm that most people in the field aren't doing.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I just want to point out is as we evolve the program and examine it, one of the things that I think it was Romney that pointed out is some of the other activities that are involved in the program, right? We have the resume writing class that we do. We have the ethics panel where we bring in professionals from the law enforcement community. We have the CIO and CISO panel where you can fire away and ask the CIOs and CISOs any question you'd like, and really start to build out some of those other pieces of skills beyond just the bare metal pieces that we think are important. This might be a good opportunity for me to bridge into the US Cyber Bowl. Last year we decided, since we were virtual, hey, we're going to do these camps. They typically take the winners of the camps, bring them into Washington, and recognize them at the Cyber Summit that we would have annually. Well, this year, obviously, everything being virtual, we decided, hey, I think there's an opportunity. This was an ingenious idea by Rudy, I might add, to take it to the next level and have all these winning teams from the various camps. And actually, we had the folks that came in second as well compete against each other nationally for what we called the US Cyber Bowl. And that actually turned out to be extremely successful. We had a sort of an Uber CTF, if you will, that we started the afternoon on Friday, went all night into the next day. So it was sort of a 24 hours Le Mans type of activity. And the folks really got to test their mettle, if you will, at the highest level. Prior to that, though, right before that, we actually had an activity where we had each team was put together and we posed a challenge to them as if they were presenting this issue to a board, a CIO, a CISO, and a CEO of an organization. And they had to explain the risk of this situation, the cost to mitigate it, the cost if you didn't do anything about it, et cetera, the background as to why we got here in the first place. And it really gave the team a chance to form as a team, right? It got a chance for them to, they had a chance to also to really start to exercise their soft skills, their presentation skills, their timing, their ability to put together a presentation. And that was actually very helpful. The students really liked that. And the panel members, we had, real CIOs, real CISOs, et cetera, sitting in on those panels, and we actually scored them. And we took the composite score of that along with the score from the CTF, joined it together to crown the national champion. So we'll continue to refine that activity, but we really realize that, hey, we need to get to the point where we have geeks that can speak, right? They need to be effective and be able to communicate that message to the leadership in regards to what the issues are, why they cost what they cost, et cetera, et cetera. And we think that's really important. So we'll continue to exploit that and exercise that and enhance that as we go forward.
Well, in the real world, you have to have those skills. You've got incident response teams, you've got CSERT, you've got all kinds of teamwork that develops in the real world. So training them now just seems logical. I love hearing that. It's not something that you find everywhere.
Well, and if I may, speaking of the real world, we had a couple of situations where the teams were assembled. We picked the teams; they didn't get to pick them, and it wasn't just the team that they had been on in the prior camp. We re-swizzled those teams and said, "Here's your team, and here's your problem set, and here's the company, and you've got 5 days to put that together, and you'll present it in front of a board." at the Thursday night prior to the national champion CTF run that we were going to do. And in a couple of cases, there was some storming and norming and forming of the teams, as you can imagine, and there's some ups and downs. And I said, hey, you know what? And of course, folks were reaching out to me, a couple of the team members, and voicing their frustration. And I said, hey, you know what? That's on you. Welcome to the real world, because in the real world, you don't get to pick your teams, right? You get assigned to a team and you have to deal with it professionally. So you need to learn how to do that, right? We don't want to get in there and try to fix that ourselves. We want you to try to manage your way through that, because that's what you're going to have to do in the real world.
Gosh, I couldn't have said it better myself. I teach a course for Ivy Tech, which is, it's mainly on incident response, but it deals with business continuity, all those issues that honestly, mom and pops and your small businesses, it's hard to get them involved in that. Your larger businesses, you do, but that is the real world. And that's one of the many places that we're needed. Folks like you, folks that you're training. So it sounds to me, I want to recap what I've heard, that you're really open to any age. You mentioned the lady that was 56 or 57. You mentioned high school students, either gender. You're looking for people who are passionate and they need to be trained, or they're willing to be trained. And you get into things like building your resume, ethics. I love that. And that's an area that I find missing in many programs. Ivy Tech deals with it. Again, I can't speak to others, so all of them may deal with it, but Ivy Tech I'm familiar with. You folks deal with it. And then you've got real CIOs and CISOs on there available to give that real world feedback, that experience that they're not going to get anywhere except the real world and here. I just love every part of it. We're getting down to the last 12 minutes. I'd like to give each one of you a chance to go through last thoughts. I've got to have a couple of minutes to wrap up, so I'm going to cut you off to give me that. I see we've got Rami. Explain these links that you're putting out here, if you would.
So over the years, been teaching multiple schools, and now I'm teaching Ivy Tech. I have a lot of great story here to say. This is in the newspaper. We have in Chicago Tribune, we have student who won actually US Cyber Challenge for many, many years. This is an amazing opportunity just to kind of put the announcement how my student, John Lawrence, he won the 2016 US Cyber Challenge National, and how he works right now for the police department as a forensic analyst and intelligence analyst. Also, my student from Ivy Tech, last year we won second place in a National Cyber Bowl. And also my student from DePaul, also she won the first place. Also, she was in the first place also from last year. Elena, we're very proud of her. Also, I'd like to mention one of my former student, as a female in cybersecurity, consider really it's a representative minority. A female student can find a leadership in this program. I would remember Shannon Miners, she actually participated in USCC and she won the US Cyber Challenge, the national. And I remember with Tony Scott, I think Tony Scott, the CIO of United States, also came in and gave her the award in Marine Valley. And currently she landed a job in Raytheon. So this is amazing. I mean, this is how the students started. We're very proud of them. I mean, I'm really over the years, I'm very passionate about to see how the student progress from just taking a quiz online. Next things, they go to the regional competition, and the final things, they go to cyber, and they get hired by top-notch company. And this student, they have, when they start, it's like, you think I would be able to compete? Am I really ready for this? I said, absolutely, you can. If you have a passion, like Jared said, and Rudy and Luke said, yourself, if you have passion for learning, no one can stop you from learning.
Well, the need for our country is certainly there. And honestly, for the planet at large, it isn't just America that's under assault. The whole planet is. Law-abiding citizens and businesses are, but certainly America. I'm an American, and I look at all that's happening here. I'm grateful for the job that all you men are doing, and more. I know Martha couldn't be with us today, but I really am grateful for all that you're doing. We've got a few minutes left. Luke, can we start with you and last thoughts? Things you wish I'd asked and I didn't.
Well, there's a couple of things that I did want to point out and just double tap on. One is the job fairs and the the linkage to the employers, right? At the end of the day, we are looking to stitch those two together, right? To be able to train these individuals, give them as much capability as we can, and then send them off into the field in various sectors. And so there's a big emphasis right now on trying to stitch those together with our sponsors during the job fairs. And also this year, we will start an internship program. Going to start it small with the Center of Internet Security. Of course, US Cyber Challenge, I don't think we brought that up in the beginning, is housed under the Center for Internet Security, who run this program out of New York and have been a sponsor of this program and underwrote this program for many, many years. And I have to give John Gilligan and his crew a hats off for doing that. So this is all trying to tie this towards bringing these folks out into the employment community. We'll do that through internships, et cetera. And we're looking forward to broadening the aperture here, including with diversity as the community starts to broaden. We want to make sure that we're capturing the entire community out there, because we recognize that that's a real opportunity where a lot of the folks that traditionally have been involved were from sort of one sector, if you will, one demographic, and we know that they're through testing, et cetera, that there's a lot of other folks that make absolutely fantastic cyber warriors, if you will, and we want to encourage them to get involved in the program.
Excellent.
That's women and folks from all different types of ethnic backgrounds.
Excellent. Rudy?
Thanks so much for having us, Ron, and appreciate your leadership. I think, we are a quiet little secret, but the industry as a whole, not very strong on communication. So your efforts and what you're doing to get the word out within the industry is really important. So thanks, Ron. For anyone that's listening in, I encourage them that even if you're not interested in actually participating, I'm sure you have friends, family, neighbors that may be interested. Please share our link. Our website is uscyberchallenge.org. That will give you pretty much all the information that we discuss, where to start, where it goes. And I look forward to welcoming all of you to our US Cyber Challenge family. So thanks for having us, Ron.
Great. My pleasure and honor again. Thank you. Jared?
Ron, thank you for inviting me. And like Rudy said, even if you don't have an interest, you might even have an aptitude for cybersecurity. And there's a ton of money, a ton of jobs. I think the 500,000 figure you gave was for the U.S.
Yes. Estimated over 4 million for the planet.
Yes, millions of jobs in cybersecurity globally. So it's massive need, massive job growth opportunities. I've seen it firsthand, students competing in quizzes, attending the camps, getting the training, connecting with employers, getting jobs, and being extremely successful in the field.
Excellent. Well,
and a field that I might add that changes every day, right? This is not a stagnant field, right? This is a field that is very dynamic and changes literally on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't like to go to work and have the same day, kind of like what was that movie where every day was like the same one?
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. Thank you. Yeah. You won't have that in cybersecurity. Every day is different. Everything, honestly, from hour to hour and minute to minute is entirely different. Rami, last thoughts. I don't mean it like that. Final thoughts for the program.
Cybersecurity is a passion, and we really don't expect any background other than just passion for learning. You could be whatever your background is, male, female, doesn't matter what your goals in life. You could actually combine cybersecurity nowadays with criminal justice and Ivy Tech. Now we have combined major cybersecurity and criminal justice. Also, I have students who coming also from the psychology field who works currently for the FBI's. I have some student who landed an internship also with the law enforcement agency. Combination of you could dual major, not only just cybersecurity, but also psychology. You could also do legal. Maybe you could do also criminal justice or lawyer assistant programs. There's all kind of options you can do in cybersecurity. Actually, the state manager for Indiana, our cybersecurity manager for state of Indiana, she treats mostly her background in communication, and now she is the director of the cybersecurity program for the state of Indiana. So we're very proud of this accomplishment for our student. I would love to see everybody participate, as Luke and Rudy and Jared said. Just give it a shot, see what you learn out of this. This is a free boot camp. This is an amazing opportunity. You get learning all this technical stuff, and top of it, you compete and you get feedback. And then if you won, you can go to the national levels. We're very proud of you if you can participate. Thank you.
Again, I can't thank you gentlemen enough for all that you do, all that you bring to today's program. I'd love to have you back, especially after, so you can talk about the camp and the challenge that you've just gone through. Let me know. You know, people love stories. People love to hear about other people and how they're succeeding. I hope that we fill your ranks to where they're overflowing. If you have any problems going forward, I hope it's accommodating all the people that apply and want to be a part of this. Luke, I've got to wrap up, so give me a couple of minutes. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Any final thoughts, any last words?
Just one, thank you and thank the audience, and just recognize that if you're even have an inkling, try, because you never know if you have what it takes, so to speak, to be a cyber warrior, and you'd be surprised. And as Rudy pointed out, also reach out to your friends and family and see if they may or may not be interested. And this is a very important field. There's a lot of facets to it, both from the policy all the way down to bare metal and everything in between. And it's all hands on deck. It's a very important subject. And we've seen that numerous times over the last few years, and we're going to continue to see that. So I would ask everyone to participate in whatever level and capacity they feel like they can.
Well, thank you. And thank you all again. Folks, you've been listening to Luke Mccormick, Rudy Pamentuan, Rami Salahea, and Jared Bates, all with the U.S. Cyber Challenge today. It's been a great pleasure having them on, and I hope that you'll respond. I hope that you'll respond with either questions to me, Ron at ronbushconsulting.com. If you didn't get down any of the email addresses, L. McCormick at US Cyber Challenge, J. Bates at US Cyber Challenge, Rudy at uscyberchallenge.org, all of them, and then R. Salahea at uscyberchallenge.org. Email me, Ron at ronbushconsulting.com. I'll be glad to forward it on or give you their email addresses. Check out their website, uschallenge.com, cyberchallenge.com. Let me rephrase that, uscyberchallenge.org, sorry.
Thank you.
By all means, go there, not anything else I said, but do that. And I thank you for listening to us. The Information Playground comes to you. We record programs for the radio station, WVLP.org. Please check them out. They're a great community radio station. Check out the Information Playground on any of the platforms I can think of. If you can do it on, thank you, Rami. If you can do it on WVLP, that's great. Monday mornings from 8 to 9, Fridays from 1 to 2. But you can also check us out on demand. Any of the podcast platforms that I'm familiar with, you can also do so on YouTube, The Information Playground. If you have questions, shoot an email to me, Ron at ronbushconsulting.com. And please join us next time. Thank you all for being with us today.
Ron, I want to thank you and the entire Information Playground community. And I also want to thank my team here and also Martha and Kelly, who couldn't join us today. There's a special group of folks that are really pouring their hearts out to make this world-class and continue to keep this program world-class.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you, Luke, and thank you all for being with us today.